she was planning her escape out. She really was. And I believe he knew that. Yeah. And that's why he had her come back. I believe he planned all of this.
A young mother with two small children vanished after making one final frantic call to 911. When she found herself cornered with nowhere left to turn, and the man she'd been desperately trying to flee had tracked her down once more, she reached for the phone in a last-ditch effort to save herself. Smith's mother received her last call around 7 p.m. on Saturday, December 2nd. Hours later that same evening, she dialed emergency services to report that Daniel Harmon, her 34-year-old ex-boyfriend, had appeared at her residence. She fled down the street, running from him. Though authorities apprehended and charged Harmon several days later in North Augusta with kidnapping and domestic violence offenses, Smith herself has not been found, and her family says they're being left in the dark. Nothing has been communicated, no action has been taken. We've been left to figure things out on our own, they say. Officials respond that they are keeping key family members informed, though the exact details of these communications remain unclear. According to the family, the abuse stretches back to August, documented through email correspondence between Jamila and investigators. News Channel 6 secured the 100-page incident reports covering this same period, revealing both Harmon's extensive criminal history and the turbulent, violent nature of their relationship. The final deputy who responded to a dispute between the couple in November documented his belief that Harmon had choked and scratched her, noting the presence of dried blood beneath his fingernails. Daniel Harmon is an abuser with a criminal record that goes on forever, yet he continuously manages to slip back into society, loved ones state. We know without question that Jamila was crying out for help. The very people she should have been able to trust to protect and rescue her let her down. The family wants to organize searches of the areas between Smith's home and Harmon's arrest location, along with properties they believe he owned throughout the CSRA region. Smith's children are currently staying with their grandmother, who, along with Jamila's father, is reportedly devastated. Her mom told me she doesn't think she's going to survive this, they share. Before we continue, if you're finding this content meaningful, please take a moment to like, comment, and subscribe. Born May 26, 1993, in Sanford, North Carolina, Jamila Shanae Smith was affectionately called Millie by those close to her. Her parents separated when she was 9, after which she moved in with her mother Tina and stepfather Pierre. With her mother serving in the military, Jamila's childhood meant frequent relocations, including international moves. Known for her love of singing and dancing, she had a gift for bringing joy to others. Jamila completed her education in Fayetteville, North Carolina, graduating from Pine Forest High School. Following graduation, she married and welcomed her first son. The marriage appeared stable initially, but like many young couples, they eventually recognized their incompatibility and divorced in 2018. At 25, Jamila embraced her new reality as a single mother. She poured herself into her work as a hairstylist, developing genuine passion for her craft. Her clients appreciated not only her technical skills but her engaging, warm demeanor. She had constructed a meaningful life for herself and her son. Then Daniel Gabriel Harmon entered her life. What initially appeared to be a promising new beginning would prove to be the start of a nightmare. Daniel, 34, made a favorable first impression. However, his background told a different story. Reports indicate he had accumulated over 100 pages of criminal documentation. Court records show that in 2013, Daniel entered a guilty plea to assault charges, receiving only 12 months of probation. In 2015, he faced 2 additional assault charges. By 2016, the court mandated his participation in counseling and family intervention programs. Then in 2019, during a traffic stop in North Augusta, Daniel struck a police officer in the face with his elbow before initiating a pursuit, deactivating his headlights in an attempt to evade capture. This was a man with a documented pattern of violence, evasion of law enforcement, and blatant disregard for court directives. When Jamila began her relationship with Daniel, she believed she'd found her ideal partner. They had a son together, Jamila's second child. For a period, happiness seemed achievable. They shared photographs of their beautiful baby, images capturing moments when everything looked perfect. But the facade didn't hold for long. Daniel began exhibiting the same troubling patterns that had previously resulted in legal consequences. It started subtly, monitoring her phone, interrogating her about her whereabouts, gradually cutting her off from friends and family. Then the situation intensified. Jamila's family quickly detected the warning signs. They observed bruises appearing on her body, shifts in her demeanor, and her tendency to make excuses for Daniel. The situation deteriorated to the point where Jamila had no choice but to contact police. On August 22, 2023, police responded to a domestic disturbance at Jamila and Daniel's residence. Upon arrival, they discovered that Jamila had locked Daniel out, prompting him to kick down the door to regain entry. Jamila informed officers that Daniel had been aggressive and physically violent toward her. Officers observed visible bruising on her lips. When they questioned Daniel, he denied all allegations, claiming Jamila was fabricating the incident. Despite Jamila's obvious injuries, Daniel was not taken into custody that evening. Officers justified this decision by stating that Jamila avoided eye contact and provided inconsistent accounts of what occurred. That same night, after officers departed, Jamila reportedly composed an email to the Aiken County Sheriff's Office. In this correspondence, she provided a detailed account of the incident, attaching photographs documenting her injuries from that night as well as images from previous attacks. She expressed her fear and pleaded for assistance. According to available information, this email never received a response. By November, the circumstances had become intolerable. On November 9, Jamila made the decision to leave Daniel, taking her children with her. While Daniel was away from the house, she began loading her belongings into her vehicle, working quickly to finish before his return. But he came home and discovered what she was doing. Seeing Jamila packing triggered Daniel's response, and he reportedly attempted to prevent her departure. A heated confrontation ensued, during which Daniel sustained an injury. Jamila called 911 once again. When authorities arrived, Daniel presented an entirely different narrative. He claimed he was merely upset about Jamila's intention to leave and characterized it as a typical disagreement. Paramedics transported Daniel to the hospital for treatment, leaving Jamila at the residence alone. This was her opportunity. Her children were staying with relatives for the holiday season, allowing her to concentrate on reaching safety. Jamila took advantage of Daniel's hospital visit to continue packing. She was determined to be gone before he returned. She packed the final items into her car, walked outside to the driveway, and made a devastating discovery. Her vehicle was missing. Jamila was now trapped with no transportation and no escape route. She contacted police again, the second time that day. When reporting the theft, Jamila told officers she suspected one of Daniel's associates had taken the vehicle. Police questioned Daniel regarding the missing vehicle, but he claimed ignorance. Without concrete evidence, they could only issue an alert for the car. Jamila called her mother in Florida to explain the situation. Her mother, located 12 hours away, couldn't reach her immediately, but arranged for Jamila's aunt to retrieve her the following day. Though her mother offered to cover a hotel room so she wouldn't have to remain in the house overnight, Jamila declined, insisting everything was fine and she could manage one more night there. By evening on November 9, Daniel had been discharged from the hospital and returned home. When he walked through the door and found Jamila still there, the argument from earlier reignited with even greater intensity. According to Jamila's statement to police, Daniel argued with her continuously from the evening of November 9 through the morning of November 10. Hours of unrelenting confrontation. When police were summoned to the residence again on November 10, Daniel had already left. Jamila described the all-night argument and disclosed that Daniel had become physical with her again. This time the evidence was unmistakable. Jamila bore visible injuries. When officers examined Daniel's hands after he returned during their investigation, they discovered evidence connecting him to the incident. Despite having a victim with clear injuries and a suspect with physical evidence, Daniel Harmon was released that day. Officers photographed Jamila's injuries before returning to headquarters to prepare warrant paperwork. Fortunately, Jamila's aunt arrived as scheduled and transported her to Florida to stay with her mother. For a brief moment, it appeared Jamila might finally find safety. Approximately 1 week later, on November 17, Jamila's stolen vehicle was located. Just as she had suspected, it had been taken by one of Daniel's acquaintances, a man named Thomas Tompkins. When Jamila learned her car had been recovered, she felt relieved. But when she arrived to claim it, she was devastated to find it had been completely destroyed. Now Jamila had no transportation whatsoever. Her family pooled resources to raise money for another vehicle, but this took time. This delay meant she had to remain in South Carolina longer than planned. Jamila found herself stuck in the same area as Daniel, scrambling to gather funds for a replacement vehicle while trying to avoid him. As November progressed, Daniel kept finding ways to reinsert himself into her life. On the morning of December 2, 2023, Jamila's mother Tina received a FaceTime call from Daniel's number. When she answered, she saw her daughter's face on the screen. Jamila was calling from Daniel's phone because, according to what she told her mother, Daniel had become angry during an argument and thrown her phone out the window while they were traveling on Interstate 20. She explained that they were together that day because Daniel had offered to help her look for a vehicle, and they had driven to Columbia, South Carolina. During the call, Tina immediately sensed something was wrong. When Jamila explained about her phone being thrown from the vehicle, Tina remembered the Find My iPhone application and used it to locate Jamila's phone, directing her to where it had landed along the highway. Around 6 p.m. that day, Jamila sent her mother a text message confirming she had successfully recovered her phone. In that message, Jamila told her mother she loved her and said goodbye, saying they would speak later. Tina had no way of knowing this would be the final communication she would ever receive from her daughter. The return trip from Columbia appeared uneventful. According to reports, Jamila was driving while Daniel slept in the passenger seat. They arrived back at the residence on Old Jackson Highway around 6:30 p.m. At approximately 8:48 p.m., Jamila Smith dialed 911. The dispatcher who answered stated that Jamila was breathless and clearly running. She reported that her ex-boyfriend had come to her residence and she was attempting to escape from him. In the background, the sound of a car engine revving could be heard. Jamila was screaming, the sound of the phone being dropped was audible, but the call remained connected. The dispatcher could still hear what was unfolding. A male voice was heard instructing Jamila to get into the car so he could transport her to the emergency room. She was heard telling him not to touch her. The male voice reportedly denied hitting her, claiming instead that she had jumped in front of his vehicle. Jamila allegedly responded that she hadn't jumped in front of the car, asking to be left alone and stating she was in pain and couldn't feel her arm, saying he had run her over. The last sound captured on that 911 call was Jamila screaming, "No." Then silence. The following day, December 3rd, when Jamila failed to appear to collect her oldest son from his father, her mother knew something was terribly wrong. Tina immediately contacted the Aiken County Sheriff's Office and requested a welfare check at Jamila's address. The dispatcher informed her that officers had already visited that residence the previous night. According to the police report, deputies had responded to the 911 call and arrived at Jamila's house, but when they arrived, no one was home. They knocked on the door, surveyed the property, and departed. They returned later that night around 12:30 a.m. for another check, but still found no vehicles and no indication of anyone at the residence. When Tina requested the welfare check on December 3rd, officers returned with a more thorough investigation approach. This time they observed details they had overlooked during their initial visits. There was a damaged window on the ground in front of the house, with the window above it open. There was a footprint on the front door, suggesting someone had kicked it. And most significantly, there was a set of keys lying on the ground near the open window. When officers described these keys to Tina, she immediately identified them as belonging to her daughter. The deputies also noted that the front door was unlocked. Given the 911 call, the missing person, and the signs of forced entry, they decided to enter the residence. Inside, they found no apparent signs of struggle, no overturned furniture, no evidence of violence within the home. Whatever had occurred to Jamila had happened outside. While deputies were investigating the scene, Daniel's parents arrived at the house. They informed officers that they were also searching for Daniel because they hadn't been able to reach him either. At this point, both Jamila and Daniel were officially listed as missing persons. Police issued an alert for both of them, along with a description of the black Dodge Charger Daniel had been driving. While Daniel remained missing, investigators reviewed his history with Jamila and discovered that the arrest warrant they had requested for a previous incident had finally been processed. Daniel Gabriel Harmon was officially wanted in connection with the November incident where he had injured Jamila. On December 5th, investigators received a tip about the location of the black Dodge Charger at a residence on Carpenterville Road in North Augusta. When officers arrived, they found the vehicle parked in front of the house exactly as described. But when they approached the residence to execute the warrant, Daniel didn't emerge voluntarily. Aiken County SWAT and the North Augusta Department of Public Safety were called to assist. Eventually, Daniel exited the house and required transport to a local hospital for medical treatment before being taken to the Aiken County Detention Center. While Daniel was being processed, investigators secured a search warrant for the black Dodge Charger. Inside the trunk, they discovered evidence along with cleaning supplies. The evidence was immediately collected and sent to the state laboratory for analysis. While test results took time, investigators already had sufficient grounds to charge Daniel in connection with Jamila's disappearance. The 911 call, combined with the evidence discovered in his vehicle, painted a clear picture of what transpired on December 2nd. Jamila Smith, the 30-year-old mother of 2 young sons, has not been heard from since the evening of Saturday, December 2nd. An Aiken County incident report confirms that Smith's mother, Tina McCraw, requested police conduct a welfare check on December 3rd, which is when she learned her daughter was missing. Records uncovered by News Channel 6 confirmed the history of domestic violence. In November, Aiken County Sheriff's Office responded to a domestic situation at Smith's Jackson home, where deputies observed evidence that Harmon had choked and scratched Smith, citing dried blood beneath his fingernails. On the last day Smith was heard from, Aiken County Dispatch received a call from a woman they later identified as Smith. She reported her ex-boyfriend had appeared and she ran down the street to escape. She screamed and dispatch heard a man saying to get in a vehicle and a horn blowing before complete silence. The sheriff's office located Harmon, who was also missing, and arrested him Tuesday at a home on Carpenterville Road in North Augusta. He's being charged with kidnapping Smith and also a domestic charge. Smith's loved ones emphasized that despite online rumors, she was not the aggressor in the relationship, but the victim attempting to save herself and her children. Really very caring, loving, funny. I don't know what they're trying to portray about her, his family, that she's some drug addict. Everyone's seen this video of them at the fair, but he had instigated it and she was just trying to de-escalate the situation. Jamila Smith is a black woman, 5'3", 107 pounds, with black hair and brown eyes. Anyone with information on her whereabouts should contact the Aiken County Sheriff's Office at 803-648-6811. On December 6th, Daniel appeared in court to face additional charges. During that hearing, Jamila's father made a direct plea to Daniel. Meanwhile, Jamila's family continues doing everything possible to find her. They've organized search parties, distributed flyers, and offered a reward that eventually grew to $10,000 for any information leading to Jamila's whereabouts.
So it's tough, but we're still gonna do it. Whether we still searching through the woods, swampy areas, we don't care. We have one mission, one goal, and also if there has been information that was given through the sheriff county, and if you feel like it's been overlooked, we do have a personal email where y'all can directly contact us, because we're asking for any information, any help on her whereabouts, anything that's reliable, please. The email is justiceforjamila@gmail.com. It's justice, the number 4, Jamila@gmail.com. And we're diligently following up on every lead. We're still offering a $10,000 reward, so that's still up. So we're continuing our search for Millie. And it's just, like I said, it's our main goal, like her kids, we still have to tell them, answer to them somehow, where is their mom? We don't know, we don't have answers. So we're just, like I said, we just want to bring Millie home, okay?
You mentioned lack of, updates or investigation from the Sheriff's Department. I know you said that if you could talk to us about kind of what they told you guys, when was the last time you spoke with them?
Last time I spoke with them, or they contacted me, last time we was out here, we did a press conference. The Detective Abdullah called probably about 4:30. That was January 26th, and that's the last I heard from her. The 29th, that's the last I heard from her. That's the last contact.
Have you attempted to reach out to them since then?
No, I was told I was supposed to be in contact with every week, which that hasn't happened. So we just run around. Like I said last time, we're just trying to get Jamila home because this isn't her home, so we just need to find her and bring her home.
I do want to go back to something you said earlier. You said you guys have been getting a number of tips. Kind of explain to me how you guys got those tips, like what avenues, and how you guys gave that information to the sheriff's office.
So, if I stand correctly, there have been leads, but there hasn't been any connecting, like follow-ups with the sheriff counties. So with the leads, they just haven't been following up on them.
So what type of leads, do you know?
Just search areas, locations, individuals who could possibly provide us with names, phone numbers, POCs, things of that nature. Just people that live within the community who may be able to know a little bit about the area and what's been happening in this area. You know, we're from out of town, so we don't really know what goes on here, but the individuals that do live here and reside here, they've been reaching out to us and basically letting us know, why don't you search here, why don't you search here? So we've been taking it upon ourselves to search.
I know you mentioned this has been a 3-month-long process. You guys are still obviously fighting through. Just to simply ask, how is the family doing? How are y'all doing?
Grieving.
We're grieving. We holding up, but you know, still hard, day by day process. So.
It's just up in the air. Like, how can you grieve when you don't have anything? You know, yeah, we know the facts, but still, it doesn't change the fact that she's still out there somewhere. So, it's more to come. We're not finished.
Yeah. Each day that goes forward, we're still being reverted backwards. We're not even able to let the healing process start. You know, when you have someone that's missing or presumed dead and you don't know where they are, you know, that's not something that you know, help you sleep at night. We want answers. We want to know what's going on, and unfortunately, you know, it's a systemic thing going on within this community. This is something that's been happening, and I'll just say South Carolina. I don't know what's going on out here, but like I said, I'll be remiss if I didn't speak on it. This is Black History Month. There are, just in 90 days alone, there have been about 20 girls all under the age of 18 that has either been missing, went missing, murdered, a victim of domestic violence. And I don't understand what's going on in this community. It's heartbreaking. And for us to be able to see it in real time, this is something that we usually witness on TV, and our heart goes out to the family that have to go through that, because it's something that no one could ever imagine. But now we're going through it, and we just really don't understand how something like this in 2024 can still happen.
And you were telling me something before. You had a chance to reach out to the Sheriff Michael Hunt. You had a chance to reach out to Eric Abdullah, the captain over here. And you said you weren't able to get the answers that you wanted, but you reached out to another individual. Yeah. And you said, you know, he was able to kind of be there for your family when y'all really need. Kind of tell me a little bit about that.
Yes, so at the onset of this entire situation, we have communicated as a family with Sheriff Hunt, Eric Abdullah, as well as the investigator, Mrs. Abdullah. We've extended an olive branch to them to stand with us in solidarity, because we would think that since they're in this community, our pain would be their pain. But unfortunately, they have not been willing or want to stand alongside us in solidarity. As a matter of fact, phone calls have gone unanswered. And like James just said, he has not been receiving the weekly updates like he's supposed to. So we did have an angel come out to us. His name is Grant, Mr. Grant, yes. Who is going to be the new, we hope, the new sheriff elect in this community. He's been readily available for us. Phone calls, text messages, social media. He's opened his heart and his arms to us, because obviously he's from this community. He's also an individual whose father got murdered in this community, so he understands our pain. So he's willing to stand in solidarity with us. And I just want the people in this community to know that this sheriff, they're elected. You elect him. That's why it's so important for you to get out there and vote, because voting is important. It is very important. Individuals die for your right to vote. Please, if you're in this community, please vote. So if you feel like you're not getting the answers of your loved ones are going missing just like our loved one, you got a voice. You got a voice. Please exercise it, please.
Going back to Mr. Grant, does it give you hope that someone is finally listening to you?
Oh my God, yes. You know, he, like I said, he's just a phone call away. He's been communicating with us. He's been there with us every step of the way, just giving us other avenues to pursue. And he's been our guardian, like our angel.
So Millie has children, or at least one.
Two.
So what do you tell the children? Because I'm pretty sure they're looking for their mother, and based on their age, you know, it may be difficult to say, you know, she's missing.
What do you tell them?
We don't have
do you
answers.
tell them?
You don't want to
have
keep
answers?
lying to them.
So we don't have anything to tell them. So what do you tell them? If they would tell us something, then maybe we would feel comfortable enough to share something with the kids. But they haven't been sharing anything with us.
So do the kids feel some type of way that their mother is not here?
Well, yeah. I mean,
level of their understanding.
yeah, they're young. I mean, listen, the mother is the teacher of the child, you know, and the mother is the one that's supposed to be, you know, nurturing the child. When you remove that from the equation, you remove everything. Can't nobody take care of and raise your child like a mother. When you remove that, then you took everything and then you create a domino effect. Domino effect affect her father, affect her mother, affect her kids. You remove that, then what do you have left? Broken homes. A broken home. These children no longer have their father. They no longer have their mother. One selfless act. You know, had someone answered that phone call and did what they needed to do for Millie that night and repeated phone calls that she called on numerous occasions, calling 911, pleading, begging for help, she would still be here today. That man that's in jail right now, Harmon, he got a record as long as the law, as long as the Bible, and they did everything impossible to keep that man on the streets. And I don't understand it. Like I've said this before, I'll say it again. I hold his probation officer responsible, I hold his county responsible, and I hold the probation officer supervisor responsible.
And you mentioned before this is a systemic issue involving black folks.
Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am. And
Absolutely.
you said at this point you guys are thinking about taking this to another level, starting maybe a foundation or something like that. Kind of touch on that a little bit more.
Yeah, so this situation with Jamila, it's been heartfelt. And so we've done our research, and what we noticed as a family, as a collective, that there are so many black and missing within, and I'll just say South Carolina. We don't get national news coverage. We don't get any type of communication. We don't get nothing. We don't get nothing from the community. We're left to just fend for ourselves. So she and I, Jamila's aunt, we're wanting to put together a foundation in honor of Jamila to, I guess, keep her legacy alive. You know, life goes on after Jamila has went home. She got 2 children. That's something that's gonna have to be done after, you know, when we have hopefully a celebration of life. These children still need constant communication, constant love, constant care, constant counseling. They're gonna need that. They're gonna need that. So if other children are in that situation, especially women who suffer from domestic violence, it's like they don't have a voice. I'm not understanding. If you see me, you see signs of physical abuse on me, and you don't act as a police officer, you are mandated to act. But instead, they label her as if she was someone just seeking attention. She wasn't seeking attention. She was seeking help. Sorry.
No problem. No, you're fine.
How old are her children?
I'm sorry.
How old are her children?
Oh, it's 4 and 9.
Yeah,
Babies.
But they understand that their mom is not here. They understand 3 months their mom has not come home.
Right. So, you got children?
No, ma'am. Not
Do
yet.
you?
I'm working on it.
Well,
Don't work too hard, brother.
imagine being a child and you wake up one morning and your mother's gone. You think your mother abandoned you? Would your mother ever abandon you? We don't leave our children like that. You know what I'm saying? We're not going to do that. We're there from the time they're born and from the time they, you know, go on to become active members of this society. We're still there after that.
Because you always think mama's going to be there to nurture
Yes,
you.
and
That's exactly who Millie was. That's exactly who she was for her kids.
A nurturer.
She loved them more than anything. Her kids come first. She was supposed to go pick one up the day Daniel Harmon did what he did.
A selfish act.
Is there anything that through this process you guys are taking away from about the case? It could be about Jamila, it could be about Harmon. Just what is it kind of that you guys are feeling right now out of what's facing your lives?
Well, I tell you what, I do have words that I would like to share with the people in this community because it's been shared with us from the Broken Lead Foundation. So you have to forgive me if I continue to look down at my phone. So this is a statement from the Broken Lead Foundation as well as the family of Jamila Smith. So first, we want to thank you all for coming out today. Jamila went missing December the 2nd, 2023. On December the 2nd, Millie made a 911 call for help, but help didn't come. At least not in the time to save Millie from her abusive boyfriend, Daniel Harmon. Yes, Daniel is in jail for murdering our Millie. But where is Millie? Where is Millie? We need answers and we need justice. Millie deserves justice. We will not stop our quest for answers or justice for Millie. We will be heard. We're not going away. We're not going nowhere. We will stand united in our fight. Had the dispatcher send out the call to LE and had they responded quickly, it could have saved her life. It could have saved Millie's life. Who is going to answer for the terrible mistakes that were made the night of December the 2nd, 2023? We demand justice for Millie.
I think I do want to ask James one question. So this is your daughter. Kind of tell me a little bit about y'all's relationship and what this is doing to you as a father. I know you kind of said that a little bit before, but you kind of brief in your statement. But just want to know a little bit about y'all's relationship and what this is doing to you personally.
She's my daughter. Father's got a different relationship with their daughter. You know, his understanding more. When you talk, they let you know stuff. So she was my twin. You know, so she was my joy. Now she's my guardian angel. So it's tough. I mean, said last time, we ain't going nowhere. We're gonna come and do the interviews as we need to. Until something happens with Millie do come. We can bring Millie home.
Do you think it's something that you could have done? I know if I was a father, you know, something happened to my daughter, in the back of my mind, maybe it's something I could have done.
There was a lot of hidden things. She'll tell, you know, she's a girl. She'll talk to her mother more than she will her daddy. Especially certain things she'll explain to her. Yeah, so when this first came out, a lot of things were coming out that I didn't know of. So yeah, I would have did something different.
So how did that affect you when you heard about all that stuff coming out? How did it affect you?
You didn't give him a chance to do anything.
What if somebody did something to your mama? How would you feel? Or any little one? I don't know, because you said you're working on kids. For example, for your mother.
Well, you know, I'm a reporter, so I need to be neutral.
Yes,
but if it was just me personally, I would kill somebody. If they did something to my mama, that's my mama.
Yeah, that's understandable. So the same emotion you got, people feel about their mama, their kids, their daughter. That's how I feel. But you know, I just gotta be balanced. I can't crack under pressure. I can't do that.
Yes, sir.
I can't do it. So I'm trying to humble myself.
Yes, sir.
Trying to just be. Because it's not over, it's just starting. He haven't even been tried yet, so trial haven't even started yet. So it's just the beginning. I'm just letting everybody know here that we're going to be here. We're going to be out here. We're going to have every press time we can. So that's what I feel.
Repeat that email address.
So again, for those who do have information, we have a direct email that y'all can contact if y'all do not want to go to the law enforcement. It's justiceforjamila@gmail.com. It's justice, spelled as justice, the number 4, Jamila, JAMILLA@gmail.com.
And you guys will take those leads to law enforcement, or like you said before, y'all just go ahead and investigate it yourself.
And you can also send it to Broken Wings Foundation as well, because we're collaborating.
We'll most likely investigate ourselves, but you know, with the help of law enforcement, if we do get any, you know, if it comes along.
Yeah, and speaking of help for law enforcement, so it would be nice if SLED could step in, because we was told personally by SLED that they were not involved in this case, and it would be real nice if the FBI could step in too. 'Cause
So,
somebody,
yeah, at this point, any outside federal help agency, yes, it will be greatly appreciated if we can get some real help.
yeah, and we just want to say thank you to the Broken Link Foundation as well as Mr. Lucas Grant. We appreciate you, and we appreciate y'all too for coming out and advocating with us as well.
I think I'm good.
Thank y'all so much.
Yeah,
Thank
Thank
y'all.
you.
You're good.
Jake.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you.
I got some. Put it in.
Jake,
I can go ahead and give you my number though.
Yeah, I do.
Sean, right?
Yeah.
Sean say we're gonna have to give us the number. Ooh, they give y'all
I'm gonna go ahead and send you my business card.
out of the number.
That's Jake.
So it's on what?
Frustrated by what they perceived as a lack of progress and communication from law enforcement, Jamila's family took matters into their own hands and hired a private investigator. They believed the Aiken County Sheriff's Office wasn't treating the case with the seriousness and urgency it demanded. On December 23rd, the state laboratory returned their analysis results. The evidence recovered from Daniel's vehicle was positively identified as belonging to Jamila Smith. Given the quantity of evidence discovered, investigators reached the conclusion that Jamila had not survived. That very same day, Daniel faced additional charges. As detectives pressed forward with their investigation into the events following December 2nd, they uncovered something significant. Daniel hadn't worked alone in his attempt to conceal his crime. On April 7, 2024, investigators took Brian Alexander Hampton Jr. into custody. The arrest warrant revealed that Hampton had supplied Daniel with both transportation and cell phones in the aftermath of Jamila's disappearance and had allegedly assisted in disposing of evidence connected to the case. Hampton initially maintained his innocence, denying any involvement whatsoever. He requested bail, insisting he knew nothing about Jamila's fate. His request was denied. On May 2, 2024, authorities arrested a third individual. Clyde James Henley II, identified as another associate of Daniel Harmon, was charged with serving as an accessory. Similar to Hampton, Henley stood accused of assisting Daniel in evidence disposal and providing other forms of aid following the crime. During the search of Henley's vehicle, investigators made a critical discovery, evidence suggesting that Jamila had been transported in his car at some point. This finding shed light on how Daniel had orchestrated the cover-up with assistance from his accomplices. On May 10, 2024, 5 months after Jamila vanished, the search reached its devastating conclusion. Investigators responded to a wooded area in the 2100 block of Silver Bluff Road. This location had been examined previously, but on this particular day, a significant discovery was made related to the case. An update to a story we've been following closely in Aiken County. Investigators report they have located the body of missing mother Jamila Smith. She hadn't been seen since December 2nd and had been presumed deceased by investigators. Aiken Bureau Chief Sean Cabbage has the latest developments. This has been a tremendous effort in trying to resolve this case. On Thursday, investigators discovered human remains in a wooded area on Silver Bluff Road, identified as Jamila Smith. The 30-year-old disappeared on December 2nd. Daniel Gabriel Harmon faces murder charges, while Brian Alexander Hampton Jr. and Clyde Henley II are charged as accessories after the fact of murder in connection with her disappearance and death. We have taken statements, evidence processing. There's still a significant amount of evidence that needs to be processed, electronic data, and so forth. While authorities emphasize that the motive remains unclear, the Aiken County coroner, working alongside the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, confirmed the identity as Jamila Smith. Medical examiners determined that Jamila had sustained serious injuries. With this discovery, the case against Daniel Harmon intensified considerably. While he was already facing other charges, prosecutors now possessed physical evidence and a definitive cause of death. As for his accomplices, both Hampton and Henley confronted substantial prison sentences for their involvement in helping Daniel conceal the crime. Their participation in the cover-up had extended and obstructed the investigation. Daniel Harmon remains held at the Aiken County Detention Center without bond as he awaits trial. Brian Hampton Jr. and Clyde Henley II are also in custody, facing accessory charges. Jamila's 2 young sons are now being raised by their grandmother. The family hasn't stopped fighting. They continue pushing for justice in Jamila's name, ensuring her story isn't forgotten. If you or someone you know is experiencing domestic violence, please reach out for help. The National Domestic Violence Hotline is available 24/7 at 1-800-799-7233. These warning signs matter, and speaking up can save a life. Thank you for bearing witness to Jamila's story.